The Senate impeachment trial for Donald Trump, the second impeachment trial for Donald Trump, has ended, and 7 Republicans did vote in favor of convicting him on the charge of inciting an insurrection. However, the Senate did not have enough votes overall, the required 2/3 majority in order to convict him overall. So the outcome of this Senate trial indicates that Trump has been acquitted. The 57-43 tally fell 10 votes short of the 2/3 majority that's needed. Now, among the Republicans breaking ranks to find, this is according to the New York Times, among the Republicans breaking ranks to find guilty the man who led their party for 4 tumultuous years, demanding absolute loyalty, were Senators Richard Burr, from North Carolina, Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Mitt Romney of Utah, Ben Sasse of Nebraska, and Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania. I think it's important to name the senators who voted to convict by name. Now, since the Senate has failed to convict Donald Trump, what we're now hearing with bipartisan support is this effort to create a 9/11 style commission, which would be, in my opinion, disastrous. Because the 9/11 style commission obviously references the 9/11 commission, which called for more invasive surveillance into the American people. So if Trump isn't able to pay the consequences for inciting the insurrection, now the American people have to suffer the consequences. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the Boogaloo Boys who participated in that riot, because for all of their anti-government nonsense, what they really did was encourage more government and more invasive surveillance in our personal lives. So congratulations. And I'll get to more details on who called for this in just a second. But Cenk, I wanted to get your thoughts first.
Yeah, so whenever the government decides they're gonna do more spying, 98% of it falls on the left wing. So in a sense, the right wing thinks, not so bad, right? We do the violence, we tried a coup, it didn't work, but it could have worked. And afterwards, we get the government to crack down on our political opponents. Kind of a win for everybody. Is the government actually gonna trace right-wing terrorists? They almost never do. And when Bush tried it, he did it near the end of his term. And when Obama came in, Limbaugh and Fox News yelled at him. So Obama said, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." And he withdrew Bush's report about right-wing domestic terrorists. And so then what did we have? We had nonstop right-wing domestic terrorism ever since. And Trump, of course, encouraged it and loved it. So he not only didn't have the government do anything about it, he went around promoting it. So now if they do a 9/11 style commission and they look into domestic terrorism problems and start to look at things ahead of time and trace things, if history is any judge at all, they will leave the most dangerous right-wing militias completely alone, completely undisturbed, partly because the people that track these kind of things are usually right-wingers. So when they see like right-wing militia, they think, "Oh, those are good boys, man. Hey, they look like my buddies, man. I love it. Yeah, no, they're no problem. Oh, this goddamn left-winger wants equality and justice. Let's trace them to the end of time. Let alone Muslims, black people, etc." So, and guess who proposed it? Of course, Democrats did. So I want Anna to give you the facts on it, and then I want to rip into Democratic leadership as usual, because here they come, too little, meat too late.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely hearing a chorus of Democrats demanding this, but this is a bipartisan effort. Don't make that mistake, because whenever it comes to government spying or increasing government power, it's really a bipartisan effort. And it is really shameful to see Democrats essentially morph into the Bush administration and see the Republicans turn into, I don't know what they are, basically this unhinged, extension of conspiracy theorists and paranoid Trump loyalists. But let me remind you all that Lindsey Graham, Republican senator, did not vote in favor of convicting Donald Trump in the impeachment trial. He certainly is one of the lawmakers who's calling for this 9/11 style commission. And I put together a little compilation of all the lawmakers who have been calling for this. Let's take a quick look.
There was a pre-planned element to this attack, Mr. Wallace, that we need to look at. Did Nancy Pelosi Pelosi know on January the 5th that there was a threat to the Capitol? What did President Trump do after the attack? We need a 9/11 commission to find out what happened, to make sure it never happens again.
I think there should be a complete investigation about what happened on 1/6. Both why was there not more law enforcement, National Guard already mobilized, what was known, who knew it and when they knew it, all that, because that builds the basis so this never happens again in the future. I think that is also important, George, but that is different from allowing that to define the future of the Republican Party.
Senator Coons, you just heard Congresswoman Dean right there on the necessity of a 9/11 commission. You agree?
I do. George, this was a remarkable week, a powerful week. And I think the House managers, obviously Congresswoman Dean and Congressman Raskin and a very talented team put on an incredibly compelling and powerful case. But there's still more evidence that the American people need and deserve to hear.
We'll be tearing into Chris Coons a little later in the show, but I'm sure you guys noticed that Lindsey Graham mentioned Nancy Pelosi in his answer and how maybe this 9/11 commission needs to investigate how much Nancy Pelosi knew about the threat before it happened. But Nancy Pelosi, by the way, is also calling for this 9/11 style commission. And when she was asked, okay, well, is this commission gonna be a little different from the previous commission that was, tasked to investigate how 9/11 happened? She's like, yes, it will be different. And I was like, oh, okay, great. How is it gonna be different? Maybe, the failures of the original 9/11 commission will be maybe addressed in this new commission. No, you know what she said? She's like, yeah, times have changed. The 9/11 commission consisted of like 9 white males and 1 female. Times are different. No, we're not asking for diversity. We're not asking for diversity in a freaking 9/11 commission. We're saying that we don't want a commission. Not anything like the 9/11 commission to investigate the riots that took place in the Capitol, because the ACLU spoke out against it. Real quick, Cenk. ACLU at the time regarding the 9/11 commission. The 9/11 commission's most sweeping proposed solution is a powerful national intelligence director and a national counterterrorism center that would centralize power over both foreign and domestic intelligence collection agencies in the White House. The way in which the recommendation centralizes power over both foreign and domestic surveillance in the White House raises serious civil liberties concerns. And we've experienced those civil liberties concerns. Cenk.
Yeah, so let me address all the people in that clip. First of all, Senator Cassidy's a Republican from Louisiana, the guy in the middle of that clip. And he's the only one that was consistent. He voted to convict Trump, which he's paying a price for now since he's a Republican. Republican Party has entirely lost its mind. So they're going after him and they're looking to end his career. But he was honest and he was consistent. When you took a look, I could barely look at Chris Coons. So he's the one who said, and we're going to talk about it later in the show, that he didn't want to call witnesses because he wanted to go home for Valentine's Day. And now he wants to do after you could have actually taken action and that's over. Now that it's totally irrelevant, now he'd like to study it afterwards. As long as it doesn't interfere with your, plans for the weekend, Senator. Okay, and that's a Democratic senator. Now back to Lindsey Graham. There's an ironic mention there because the person mainly pushing for the 9/11 style commission here is Nancy Pelosi, and Lindsey Graham's like, oh great, okay, then we'll investigate you. Wait, we were investigating Donald Trump. In my opinion, the idiot Democrats dropped that without witnesses, and now somehow it's turned into an investigation of Democrats. Because that's how dumb Democratic leadership is. And so will they start to distract people with investigations of Pelosi and Kamala Harris and whatever BS commission they do? Of course. And so a lot of Democratic voters I saw today were excited about this. Like, oh, now the truth will come out. Guys, what difference does it make? The only time that there was anything we could do about it was when we were trying to convict Trump and make sure he's not allowed to run for office again. Why does that matter? Because if he runs for office again and somehow wins, and he won once and he nearly won the last time, he has already indicated he will definitely end democracy. So the only thing that mattered was the vote to bar him from office. And the rest of it is just BS semantics. and theatrics, and Democratic voters are tricked by it every time. They're like, did you see how strong Nancy Pelosi is? She's gonna do a 9/11 style commission. Ooh, and then what are we gonna do about it? Nothing, because there's nothing left to do. In fact, she called it a quote, after action review. Well, that is accurate, I'll give her that. After all the action is over, here come the Democrats to do something totally meaningless and probably counterproductive.
Not probably, definitely. It will definitely be counterproductive. Especially, I mean, you don't think lobbyists are salivating at this opportunity? What does this mean? I mean, if it means more surveillance on American people in an effort to investigate domestic terror, that means that there are gonna be more government contracts given out to companies that have certain surveillance technology available. We know how government works. This is gonna be counterproductive. We should not be suffering the consequences of what Trump and his supporters did. And that's what's so incredibly frustrating about this, that some of the lawmakers who refuse to hold Trump accountable, or some of the lawmakers who kind of tried to hold him accountable, but then caved in the last minute, they're the ones who are now calling for a 9/11 style commission to investigate not just the riots, that's the way they'll sell it, but it's gonna go beyond that. This is always a way to increase more government power and more surveillance into the American people. And they do this by scaring you. That's why Democratic voters are probably in favor of this. The riots were scary. We don't want this to happen again. Our democracy is bruised. We're at a lot of risk right now. And people buy it, they eat it up, and it's really frustrating.
So last things I'll add, I guarantee ahead of time now, and you'll see us do a story on this a couple years from now, that group, whatever is formed, if anything is formed out of that commission, it will investigate black groups, black civil rights groups, far more than right-wing groups. It's a guarantee. It is hundreds of years of American history that shows you that that's what's going to happen every single time. So nice job in holding Trump accountable. And they will also have giant barriers all over Washington, D.C. And the minute that the left wing goes to protest on any issue, they'll crack down on us. Because we have to protest, because the establishment, Republicans and Democrats, are about to agree to a number of horrific things, right? And when the left wing goes to protest, they'll say, oh, here we go, time to crack skulls. Now we'll show them how tough we are. So unbelievably stupid. And they're like, oh yeah, no, guys, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have accountability. We'll call witnesses like Mike Pence, etc. Then why didn't you call them when there could have been actual accountability? Please spare me. Democrats are the worst and the weakest party ever and every time.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.